felt emotion, whether it is yours or others, affect you too deeply. So much so that you shut down from this emotion to avoid pain. Now, what happened in the process is that you are at the other extreme of the pendulum where you have numbed your emotion and you're not able to feel any of the emotion, whether it is yours or others. In the process of protecting your emotion, you are disconnecting from a very important part of your life, that is getting connected and connecting to others empathetically. Now, you may find yourself in moving from one extreme to another. At one extreme, you're deeply sensitive, whereas at the other extreme, you're completely indifferent, and you wonder why have you become like this. Now, the easy way to understand is when the emotions overwhelm you, your coping mechanism and a different mechanism comes into the picture and tries to shut down all the emotion, because the emotion receptors are managed in a way so that you don't feel the pain and you don't feel the anxiety and you don't feel the stress. But if you don't know how to process your emotions and manage your emotion, you may end up in the other extreme because of your coping mechanism. Hence, it's very important that you learn processing your emotions. The life doesn't happen at this extreme or other extreme. Life happens in middle, where there is a balance, where you're able to protect your emotion, where you're able to still connect to other people, where you are able to process your emotion and still empathetically connect to other people's emotion, where though you feel the pain, you feel the joy too. And if you are able to feel both the extremes equally without getting overwhelmed with it or shutting it down, that's when you're actually experiencing life. Hence, it's important that you understand strategies to manage and process your emotion. And how do we do that? The first and important thing is you recognize the triggers and situations when you feel overwhelmed or when you are sensitive. For different people, it is different. Some people are sensitive to criticism, some people are sensitive to judgment, some people are sensitive to quarrels or fight or conflict. The sensitivity area can be different. You just have to recognize the areas where these triggers happen and then challenge your thinking over it. First, learn to regulate emotions in this situation. Like if you are in a situation where you're feeling very nervous, where you're feeling very anxious, where you're feeling very stressed, where you're feeling very overwhelmed or angry, any of those emotions which are actually taking your cognitive thinking away, it's important that you learn to regulate emotion in such circumstances. So deep breathing technique, mindfulness, all this help you to manage your emotion at that point of time. So breathing, counting the breath, 1 2 3 4 5, holding and then breathing again, all this technique need to be practiced beforehand. When you recognize a trigger, second thing is knowing how to regulate your emotion in this time, so that your brain, which is actually because of emotion is not able to think, it's getting shut. You need to open it by using a parasympathetic nervous system, by doing breathing techniques, and that way you are able to respond to a thoughtful process than from an emotionally high reactive state. Once you understand that, you need to understand that these triggers are happening why. What is the cognitive thinking behind it? If somebody is giving you a feedback, are you taking it personally? If somebody is letting you know your faults, are you actually not able to see through the learning that's happening during the process? So rather than thinking that I am always blamed and I am always told something which I am not at fault, you can always see what is the learning happening here, what is the feedback letting you know, and what is the improvement that you can get in yourself. And even if you or do all this and still you are given a feedback, then you can always create a boundary around you in terms of letting people know how you feel and how you're working towards mastering yourself. And there is never a perfect person out there, we all are learning. Even the person who's giving you feedback is also improved by his learning. So we may not be perfect, so we can always create a boundary from where we can respond in a thoughtful manner. Once you know emotional regulation, once you know your cognitive behavior from where the thinking is happening, because of which the emotions are getting so hyper, I mean, when we try to think that this person has, purposefully tried to put me down, that's when the emotional heightens happen. If you can just see the facts they are. I've been told this, and what do I do about it? And if I feel that the remark has been very rude, I can let the person know that you've been giving me this feedback in a very rude manner. I mean, it can just stand there rather than this person did this because he really doesn't like me. So those kind of thinking can be stopped and can be restructured rather than stopped. And we can really make our emotions in a balanced form. Also, it's very important that you remain compassionate to yourself. If you are feeling emotionally upset or angry, you can always say that it's okay, I'm feeling this right now, I'm upset, I am learning to manage this emotion, and I accept myself in this journey what I'm taking. So, being compassionate to yourself is a very important process of learning to manage the emotion. Building resilience is another important thing that you have to do by keeping your emotion in a positive frame of thing also. Like, if you like some hobby, if you are somebody who likes gardening, if you are somebody like dancing, if you like somebody who likes exercises, you need to keep time for these activities in a day so that you are able to charge your emotion in a very positive environment also. There has to be balance of both. Also, when we are doing all this, it's very important that you journal down your emotion at the end of the day. When you sit with yourself and what has happened in the day, what are the emotional upsurge that you felt, how did you balance it up, what is that you did to cope up with it, what did you do, something which was different from the other days, and how you coped up with your emotion with the strength within. That's when you can always see the progress that you have made. The journaling is a very important part of this whole exercise. Once you know how to regulate your emotion, it's important to see how you have applied that in your life. We all want to love ourselves and love people around us. So, when we know the skill of loving ourselves, that will help us to, the same skill will help us to love others. So, emotional resilience or emotional strength comes not from being tough but able to balance yourself so that you protect yourself also and also still remain connected to others empathetically, bringing joy to you and joy to others. When we are able to have this balance, that's when you will be not only sensitive to your own self, but that sensitivity will not affect you and make you so insensitive that you are not able to connect to anybody. See, when we lose connection with the pain, somehow we lose connection with joy too. Pain is a process to let you know to protect yourself, but joy is a process which tells you there's so much of love that can be felt and can be shared with others. Isn't that a wonderful journey of life? Let's dive through this process and do share your experiences while you are able to practice this up. Hope I have added some value to your life. See you again. Thank you for listening to me and see ya.